I stand at the gates of CFB Esquimalt, Victoria, my Canadian Armed Forces uniform pressed to perfection, every medal earned through blood and secrets pinned tight. But the corporal's cold eyes cut through me. "You're not on the list," he spits, like I'm nothing. My family, my father, a general draped in glory, my mother, clutching her perfect military wife's smile, and my brother, strutting in his dress blues like he owns the world, sweep past me. I'm air. I'm dust on the Pacific Highway. My brother's smirk stabs deeper than any blade. "What, no clearance again?" he sneers, not even slowing. They march to the front row of my father's retirement ceremony, while I'm left here, choking on years of being erased, dismissed, buried alive under their indifference. The pain rips me apart, decades of sacrifice, unseen, unloved. I'm done being invisible. I'm Emma Caldwell, Brigadier General, 35 years old. Today, they'll choke on the truth. The sting of my brother's smirk lingers as I stand frozen outside CFB Esquimalt's gates, the Pacific wind biting through my uniform. I'm a Brigadier General in the Canadian Armed Forces, 35 years old, running intelligence ops that guard this country's spine. But to my family, I'm just the daughter who pushes paper in some Ottawa office, 3,500 kilometers away. My father, General Patrick Laurent, is a legend in Victoria, his chest heavy with medals from decades of command. My mother, Claire, polishes the family's image like it's a Stanley Park monument, always smiling, always perfect. My brother, Ethan, is the golden son, a decorated infantry officer who struts like he was born in dress blues. His wife, Lila, clings to his arm, her laughter as sharp as a Kitsilano sunset. They never invited me to this ceremony, my father's retirement, the crown of his legacy. I got a forwarded email from Claire, officers mess lunch after. Dress appropriately. As if I'd show up in anything less than regulation. I've missed Christmases, birthdays, even my cousin's wedding in Whistler, all because of classified missions they'll never know about. "You're always so busy, dear," Claire once said at a Victoria dinner, her voice dripping with pity. "Maybe try something less secretive?" Ethan chuckled, cutting in, "Yeah, what, filing reports for the brass in Ottawa?" I swallowed my reply, the truth locked behind security clearances. My work on Northern Shield stopped cyber attacks that could have crippled Canada's grid, saved lives in places they'll never see on a map. But to them, I'm not a soldier. I'm a shadow. I'm Emma Caldwell, and I'm done standing in their blind spot. The salt air of Victoria's inner harbor claws at my skin as I stand outside CFB Esquimalt, the weight of my family's dismissal heavier than the 10-kilogram rucksack I carried through training. My uniform, pressed sharp enough to cut glass, feels like a lie when my own blood walks past me without a glance. I'm Emma Caldwell, Brigadier General, 35 years old, and I've spent years weaving Canada's security through classified ops like Northern Shield, stopping threats that could have blacked out Vancouver's skyline. But to my father, General Patrick Laurent, I'm a desk clerk who never measured up. To my mother, Claire, I'm the daughter who's too busy to fit into her polished family portrait. To my brother, Ethan, I'm a punchline, a paper pusher who can't match his infantry swagger. His wife, Lila, just smiles like I'm a guest at her Gastown brunch, not a soldier who's bled for this country in ways they'll never know. I wasn't always this ghost in their story. Growing up in Victoria, I trailed behind Patrick's shadow, his medals gleaming like the lighthouses along Dallas Road. He'd regale dinner guests with tales of command in Kandahar, while I sat quietly, memorizing maps and code-breaking puzzles. "She's good at school," he'd say, his voice flat, like that was my ceiling. Claire would nod, adjusting her pearls, and pivot to Ethan's latest hockey trophy or his plans for RMC in Kingston. By 16, Ethan had a framed photo shaking hands with a colonel at a cadet camp. I had a dog-eared copy of a cryptography manual. When I told Patrick I was joining the Canadian Armed Forces, he barely looked up from his coffee. "Intelligence, huh? Admin work," he muttered, as if I'd chosen to file his taxes. Ethan laughed, slapping the table. "Gonna be a desk jockey, Emma?" Claire patted my hand. "It's stable, dear. You'll do fine in Ottawa." Stable. That word stung worse than the wind off the Strait of Juan de Fuca. I wasn't chasing stable. I was chasing impact, missions that stopped cyber attacks before they hit Toronto's power grid, ops that rerouted convoys to save lives like Ethan's, though he'd never know it. Northern Shield was my crucible, 18 months tracking encrypted signals across 3 continents, decoding chatter that saved a Canadian outpost in Mali from a rocket strike. I worked from a windowless room in Ottawa, 4,000 kilometers from home, my eyes burning from 20-hour shifts. I missed Claire's 60th birthday party at a Victoria vineyard because I was briefing a NATO task force. "You're always so distant," she sighed over the phone, as if I chose to skip her cake for fun. Ethan sent a text, "Missed you at Mom's bash. Too busy with spreadsheets." I stared at my secure laptop, its screen glowing with data that kept his unit safe, and didn't reply. The family dinners were the worst. 2 years ago, at a Christmas gathering in Victoria's Oak Bay, Ethan held court, recounting a night patrol in Afghanistan. "We dodged a close one," he bragged, his voice loud over the clink of wine glasses. I knew the mission. My team's intel had flagged an IED network, redirecting his platoon 500 meters from disaster. I could have spoken up, let the truth slip, but classified ops don't make good dinner chatter. Claire leaned in, eyes shining. "You're just like your father, Ethan." Patrick nodded, pouring him another glass of Okanagan Valley Red. Lila chimed in, her voice bubbly, "You should write a book, Ethan. Real hero stuff." I pushed my mashed potatoes around, the weight of their dismissal sinking deeper. "What about you, Emma?" Lila asked, her tone like she was humoring a child. "Still doing office stuff?" I forced a smile. "Something like that." Patrick grunted. "Intel support work. Necessary, but not the front line." I wanted to scream that my support work had saved his precious son, but I bit my tongue until it bled. Last summer, at a family barbecue in Saanich, the pattern repeated. Ethan showed off his new captain's bars, while Claire fussed over Lila's homemade poutine. I'd just returned from a covert op in Europe, my body still on Brussels time, my mind heavy with names I couldn't share, assets I'd protected, threats I'd neutralized. Patrick raised a beer to Ethan. "To the real soldiers," he said, clinking bottles. I stood by the grill, clutching a plate of untouched salmon, my commendations locked in a classified file 4,500 kilometers away. Claire noticed me, her smile tight. "You look tired, Emma. Ottawa must be stressful." Stressful. As if she could fathom the weight of decisions that kept Canada safe while she planned her next Victoria Garden party. Ethan leaned over, smirking. "Still chasing paper trails, eh?" I nodded, the rage simmering like a wildfire in the Okanagan. I wasn't just chasing paper. I was chasing truth, lives, survival. But to them, I was nothing, a shadow cast by their spotlight, fading into the cedar trees lining their perfect backyard. The Victoria sky is gray, heavy with clouds that mirror the ache in my chest as I stand outside CFB Esquimalt, the gate's steel bars a cold reminder of where I belong, nowhere. My uniform, starched and heavy with metals I can't explain, feels like a shroud. I'm Emma Caldwell, Brigadier General, 35 years old, my life carved into classified files that guard Canada's safety. But to my family, I'm a stranger, a name missing from their guest list, a ghost they've buried under their pride. The sting of Ethan's smirk from moments ago burns hotter than a July wildfire in the Okanagan, but it's nothing compared to the wound I've carried for years, the one that cuts deeper with every ignored call, every missed moment, every time they chose to see me as less. I've saved lives, stopped disasters, but the pain of being unseen by my own blood is a weight no mission could prepare me for. 3 months ago, I was in Ottawa, hunched over a secure terminal, tracking a cyber threat that could have crippled Calgary's power grid. My phone buzzed, a rare email from Claire. I opened it, expecting another curt reminder about a family event I'd miss. Instead, it was a knife to the heart. "Uncle Robert passed last week," she wrote. "The funeral was small, just family at Beacon Hill Park. Hope you're managing in Ottawa." My uncle, a retired CAF sergeant who taught me to read maps by starlight on Vancouver Island, was gone. No one told me. No call, no text, not even a whisper until the ashes were scattered. I sat in my dark apartment, 4,000 kilometers from Victoria, staring at a photo of us hiking the Juan de Fuca Trail when I was 12. His laugh, rough like Pacific waves, echoed in my head. I could have been there, should have been there, but they didn't think I deserved to know. I called Claire that night, my voice shaking, not with tears but with rage. "Why didn't you tell me about Uncle Robert?" I asked, gripping the phone like it could anchor me. Her pause was long, too long. "Oh, Emma, you're always so busy," she said, her tone light, like she was excusing a missed brunch. "We didn't want to bother you with your work." Work. That word again, reducing my sleepless nights, my classified ops, my life to a nuisance. "He was my family," I said, my voice cracking. "You don't get to decide what bothers me." Claire sighed, the sound of someone rearranging her perfect world. "Ethan handled the eulogy. It was beautiful. You'd have been proud." Proud. As if I wasn't part of the family they mourned with. I hung up, the silence in my apartment louder than any explosion I'd prevented. The memory of that call claws at me now, standing here outside the base. It's not just Uncle Robert's funeral. It's every moment they've erased me from. Last year, at a family reunion in Nanaimo, I tried to share a piece of my world. I mentioned a declassified op, a small one, where my team stopped a data breach targeting Vancouver's port. Ethan cut me off, leaning back in his chair, beer in hand. "Sounds like IT stuff," he said, smirking. "You fix computers now, Emma?" Lila giggled, her eyes on him like he'd just won a Victoria Marathon. Claire chimed in, her voice soft but cutting. "Let's not bore everyone with shop talk, dear." Patrick nodded, his gaze fixed on Ethan's latest medal pinned to the wall. I stood there, 4,500 kilometers from the ops room where I'd saved a critical trade route, and felt smaller than a grain of sand on Long Beach. The worst was a dinner 2 winters ago at their Victoria home, overlooking the Salish Sea. Ethan was fresh from a deployment, regaling the table with a story of a night raid in Somalia. "We were pinned down, but I got us out," he said, his voice booming. I knew the raid. My intel had redirected his unit, avoiding a trap set 10 kilometers outside Mogadishu. I could have spoken, could have said, "That was me, Ethan. My team saved you." But the words died in my throat. Claire beamed, touching his arm. "You're your father's son," she said. Patrick raised his glass. To boots on the ground. Lila clapped, her eyes sparkling. I stared at my plate, the salmon untouched, the weight of my silence heavier than the 20-kilogram pack I carried through officer training. "What do you do again, Emma?" Lila asked, her tone so innocent it burned. "Desk stuff, right?" I nodded, my jaw tight, the truth locked behind years of clearance and their refusal to care. Now, as I stand here, the ceremony's muffled applause seeping through the Esquimalt gates, I feel the full weight of their dismissal. I've missed weddings, birthdays, funerals, all for a country that knows my name in classified briefs but not at my own family's table. I've run ops that kept Ethan's platoon alive, protected Claire's perfect Victoria life, let Patrick bask in his legacy. But they don't see me. They never have. The pain isn't just being left off their guest list, it's knowing I've been erased from their story, like a forgotten lighthouse on the Pacific coast, guiding ships to safety but invisible in the fog. I'm Emma Caldwell, and the hurt of being nothing to them is a wound I can't outrun. The Victoria wind howls through the steel gates of CFB Esquimalt, as if mocking the ache in my bones. I'm still here, outside, my brigadier general's uniform a silent scream of everything I've earned but no one sees. The muffled cheers from my father's retirement ceremony, General Patrick Lawrence's crowning moment, slice through me, each clap a reminder of my erasure. My mother, Claire, sits in the front row, her smile as polished as a Victoria harborfront condo. My brother, Ethan, basks in his infantry captain's glory, his wife, Lila, glowing beside him like a beacon off Clover Point. I'm Emma Caldwell, 35 years old, a shadow in their story, my Northern Shield ops buried under clearances they'll never read. I've saved lives, stopped attacks, but to them, I'm nothing, a name left off their guest list, a life they've dismissed for decades. The pain is a 20-kilogram weight on my chest, but I stand tall, waiting for the moment to change everything. Then, the air shifts. Tires crunch on gravel, and a black SUV pulls up, its engine growling like a storm rolling off the Pacific. The corporal at the gate snaps to attention, his clipboard trembling. General David Tremblay, a CAF legend whose name carries more weight than a frigate in Esquimalt's docks, steps out. His eyes lock on me, then the corporal, his voice low but sharp enough to cut through the wind. Is there a problem here, soldier? The corporal stammers, no, sir, it's just, her name's not on the list. Tremblay's gaze doesn't waver. She's not here as a guest. She's Brigadier General Emma Caldwell. Escort her in. Now. The corporal's face drains, paler than an Alberta winter. He fumbles with the gate, muttering, yes, sir. Right away, General. I don't smile. I don't flinch. I nod once to Tremblay, my boots hitting the pavement with purpose as I cross the threshold I was never meant to pass. Inside, the auditorium hums with ceremony, flags, banners, the weight of military pride thick as fog over the Strait of Georgia. My family sits front and center, oblivious, their programs open to Patrick's name in bold print. I move past them, my uniform catching the light, every ribbon a story they've never asked to hear. The stage looms ahead, a polished platform where generals are crowned, not daughters. General Tremblay follows, his presence parting the crowd like a ship through Juan de Fuca's waves. The MC, a major with a voice trained for parade grounds, pauses mid-speech. Ladies and gentlemen, she announces, before we honor General Patrick Laurent, we recognize an unsung hero of the Canadian Armed Forces. The room stills, a hush like snow falling on Lake Louise. Please rise for Brigadier General Emma Caldwell, recipient of the Order of Military Merit for her leadership in Operation Northern Shield. The air cracks. Chairs scrape as the crowd stands, their applause a thunder I never expected. I climb the stage, my steps measured, my heart pounding like artillery fire. I don't look at my family, but I feel their eyes, Patrick's jaw tight, Claire's pearls clutched, Ethan's smug grin gone, Lila's confusion palpable. The major continues, her voice steady. General Caldwell's work disrupted cyber threats that could have paralyzed Canada's critical infrastructure, from Vancouver's ports to Calgary's grid. Her strategic leadership saved countless lives. The words hit like a missile, and I steal a glance at the front row. Patrick stares at the floor, his general's composure cracking. Claire's smile falters, her hands frozen. Ethan's mouth hangs open, his dress blues suddenly too big for him. Lila whispers something, but no one answers. The room knows Northern Shield, whispers of its scope have haunted CAF briefings for years. But they didn't know me. I stand at the podium, the Order of Military Merit heavy in my hands. I don't speak. I don't need to. The silence is my voice, louder than any metal. General Tremblay steps forward, his nod a quiet salute. You've earned this, General, he says, his voice low, meant only for me. I nod back, my eyes fixed on the flag at the back of the room, its maple leaf steady against the chaos in my chest. The crowd claps again, but it's not for Patrick, not for Ethan, not for the Laurent legacy. It's for me. For once, I'm not invisible. I'm Emma Caldwell, and this stage, this moment, is mine. The auditorium at CFB Esquimalt hums with fading applause, the weight of my Order of Military Merit still warm in my hands. I'm Emma Caldwell, Brigadier General, 35 years old, standing on a stage that wasn't meant for me, my uniform a testament to battles fought in shadows. The crowd's eyes linger, their whispers buzzing like hornets over Saanich Inlet. My family, Patrick Laurent, my father, the decorated general, Claire, my mother, with her polished smile, Ethan, my brother, the infantry captain, and Lila, his wife, clutching her program, sit frozen in the front row. Their shock from my award still hangs heavy, like fog over Vancouver Island, But I'm not done. The truth, buried for years under their dismissal, is about to erupt. I step back from the podium, my boots steady on the polished wood, ready for the moment that will shatter their carefully built narrative. General David Tremblay takes the stage, his presence commanding, like a storm rolling in from the Pacific. The room quiets, every uniform straightening under his gaze. Before we proceed, he says, his voice cutting through the air like a CF-18 over Comox, we have a message from someone who couldn't be here. He nods to a young lieutenant at the AV station. The screen flickers, and a grainy video begins, the kind sent from a forward base 12,000 kilometers away. Captain Noah Chen appears, his tan uniform scuffed, a scar tracing his jaw like a map of survival. His eyes, heavy with gratitude, lock onto the camera. General Patrick Laurent, he begins, his voice steady but thick, I owe your family everything. But not for the reasons you think. The room freezes, colder than a February night in Banff. Noah's words hit like shrapnel. 6 years ago, my unit was deployed in Afghanistan, tasked with securing a supply route outside Kandahar. Intel said it was clear. It wasn't. A bomb was set to wipe us out, 3 IEDs, 100 meters from our convoy's path. My chest tightens, the memory flooding back, sleepless nights in an Ottawa ops room, decoding signals, my team spotting the threat 20 minutes before disaster. Noah continues, someone rerouted us, last second, no explanation. We made it out. Later, I learned who made that call. Not a field commander. Not a general barking orders. It was Brigadier General Emma Caldwell. Gasps ripple through the crowd, sharp as waves crashing on Tofino's shores. I don't move, my eyes fixed on the screen, but I feel my family's stares burning into me. Noah's voice cracks, just slightly. That wasn't all. 2 years later, I was pinned down in a safe house, cut off, no extraction. Emma led a covert team herself, 15 kilometers through hostile territory, under fire, to pull me out. She took a graze to the arm, never flinched. I'm here, alive, because of her. The screen fades, but his words linger, heavy as a 30-kilogram rucksack. The crowd erupts, standing, their applause a roar that shakes the room. Officers whisper, Northern Shield, that was her? The name carries weight, a classified op that's become CAF legend. I glance at my family. Patrick's face is stone, his general's mask crumbling like eroded cliffs at Pacific Rim. Claire's hands tremble, her program crumpled, her perfect world unraveling. Ethan's eyes are wide, his captain's bravado gone, replaced by something raw, shame, maybe, or disbelief. Lila murmurs, she did that, but no one answers. The room knows me now, not as Patrick's daughter, not as Ethan's sister, but as Emma Caldwell, the general who changed the battlefield from a desk and a bullet-scarred arm. I stand taller, the weight of years, missed funerals, ignored sacrifices, Ethan's smirks, lifting, if only for a moment. Tremblay steps forward, his voice low but piercing. General Caldwell, he says, turning to me, your work rewrote the rules of survival. Canada owes you. I nod, my throat tight, not with tears but with the fire of being seen. The crowd's applause surges again, a tide I never expected. I don't look at my family. I don't need to. Their silence screams louder than any metal pinned to my chest. I'm Emma Caldwell, and for the first time, the truth isn't classified. It's undeniable. The applause in CFB Esquimalt's auditorium fades like a tide pulling back from Victoria's Ogden Point, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. I'm Emma Caldwell, Brigadier General, 35 years old, standing off stage, the Order of Military Merit pinned to my chest, Captain Noah Chen's words still ringing in my ears. My family, Patrick Laurent, my father, the retired general, Claire, my mother, with her faltering smile, Ethan, my brother, the infantry captain, and Lila, his wife, sit in the front row, their faces a gallery of shock and shame. The truth of my work, my sacrifices, my scars, has shattered their narrative, but the weight of their years-long dismissal still presses down, heavier than the 15-kilogram rucksack I carried through training. I've been invisible to them, through missed funerals, ignored ops, and their smug assumptions. But now, they see me. The question is whether they can face it. I step outside, the Pacific breeze sharp against my skin, the base's parking lot stretching out like a gray sea under Victoria's overcast sky. The ceremony's echoes fade, but the pain doesn't. I'm halfway to my rental car, 50 meters from the gate, when I hear boots on gravel. Emma. It's Patrick, his voice rough, not commanding but unsteady, like he's navigating unfamiliar terrain. I stop, not turning, my hands clenched. He steps closer, his general's posture softened, almost human. I didn't know, he says, each word heavy, like stones sinking in the Salish Sea. All those years. I thought you chose a quieter path. I turn, my eyes meeting his, sharp as a blade. You thought I was less, I say, my voice low, cutting. You never asked, Dad. You decided I was a clerk and called it a day. His jaw tightens, but he doesn't look away. I was wrong, he admits, the words foreign in his mouth. I should have seen you. I let the silence stretch, heavy as a coastal fog. I didn't need you to see me, I say. I needed you to stop assuming I was nothing. He nods, slow, his eyes tracing the asphalt like it holds answers. You're a general, he says, almost to himself. My daughter's a general. It's not an apology, but it's close, and for Patrick Laurent, it's a crack in his armor. I don't soften. I've been a general for years, I say. You just weren't paying attention. He exhales, the sound of a man carrying 40 years of command and regret. Can we talk? Really talk, he asks. I nod, not trusting my voice, the wound still raw but no longer bleeding. Before I can move, Ethan appears, his dress blues crisp but his face pale, like he's seen a ghost. Emma, he says, his voice lacking its usual swagger. I didn't know about Afghanistan. About you saving us. His eyes dart away, then back, searching for something to hold on to. Why didn't you say anything? I step closer, my boots crunching gravel, my voice steady but laced with years of hurt. Because you never cared to ask, Ethan. You called me a desk jockey, laughed when I missed Mom's birthday, bragged while I buried the truth to keep you safe. He flinches, his captain's confidence gone. I was an idiot, he says, quieter now. I thought you stayed out of it, the real stuff. I was wrong, Emma. I'm sorry. The word sorry hangs between us, fragile as a Gulf Islands breeze. I don't forgive him, not yet. Start asking, I say. That's how you fix it. Claire approaches, her heels clicking, her face a mask of unease. Emma, we didn't mean to exclude you, she says, her voice trembling like leaves in Stanley Park. We just thought you were happy in Ottawa. I shake my head, the pain flaring. You thought I was small, Mom. You built a family story that didn't include me. She looks away, her pearls glinting in the dim light. We want you home, she says softly. Dinner, next weekend, at the house in Victoria. Just us. I pause, the invitation strange, like a new map I don't trust. I'll think about it, I say, not promising, not refusing. Lila lingers behind, silent, her usual chatter gone, her eyes wide with something like awe. I turn toward my car, the 5-kilometer drive to my hotel ahead. The weight of their words, Patrick's admission, Ethan's apology, Claire's invitation, doesn't erase the years of erasure, but it's a start. Not a fairy tale, not a hug in the rain, but a crack in the wall we've built. I'm Emma Caldwell, and for the first time, my family knows my name. The Victoria dusk settles over CFB Esquimalt's parking lot, painting the sky in hues of amber and gray, like a fire fading over the Gulf Islands. I'm Emma Caldwell, Brigadier General, 35 years old, my boots still planted on the gravel where my family, Patrick Laurent, Claire, Ethan, and Lila, finally saw me, not as a shadow but as a soldier. The Order of Military Merit rests heavy against my chest, Noah Chen's words echoing like waves on Chesterman Beach. Their apologies, raw and halting, linger from our parking lot confrontation, but they don't erase the years I stood unseen, carrying the weight of missions heavier than a 20-kilogram rucksack. Yet, as I walk to my rental car, 5 kilometers from the Victoria Hotel where I'll spend the night, something shifts. The pain of being erased, through missed funerals, ignored sacrifices, and Ethan's smirks, doesn't vanish, but it no longer defines me. I'm not the ghost in their story anymore. I'm the one who wrote my own. I slide into the driver's seat, the engine humming softly as I pull onto the Pat Bay Highway, Vancouver's Lions Gate Bridge, my destination tomorrow. The road stretches ahead, open and quiet, like the prairies after a Calgary snowfall. For years, I carried my family's dismissal like a wound, each slide a cut deeper than the graze I took in Afghanistan. But standing on that stage, hearing my name, Brigadier General Emma Caldwell, ring through the auditorium, I realized something. You don't need everyone to see you. You need to know your own worth, to stand tall even when the world looks away. My work on Northern Shield, my sleepless nights in Ottawa, my scars, they weren't for Patrick's approval or Claire's smile. They were for Canada, for lives like Noah Chen's, for the truth I carried in silence. Here's what I've learned, driving through this coastal twilight, the weight of my uniform lighter than it's ever been. First, trust your value, even when no one else does. Every report I filed, every threat I stopped, built a legacy no one could erase, not even my family. Second, be patient with recognition. Patrick and Ethan needed a stage and a video to see me, but their awakening wasn't my victory, my work was. Finally, embrace the power of quiet strength. The loudest battles aren't always fought with guns, sometimes they're won in windowless rooms, 4,000 kilometers from home, where no one claps. These lessons aren't just mine. They're for anyone who's felt invisible, who's carried a burden no one noticed, who's fought to be seen. As I cross the Saanich Peninsula, the ocean glinting to my left, I think of Claire's invitation to dinner next weekend. Just us, she said, her voice softer than I'd ever heard. It's not a fix, not a fairy tale, but it's a start. I don't need their love to stand tall, but I'll show up, not for them, but for me. I'm Emma Caldwell, and my worth isn't in their eyes, it's in the lives I've saved, the country I've protected, the truth I've carried. The road ahead is mine, and I drive it unapologetically. The hum of my rental car fades as I pull off the Pat Bay Highway, Vancouver's skyline glinting in the distance like a promise kept. I'm Emma Caldwell, Brigadier General, 35 years old, no longer the ghost in my family's story. Patrick, Laurent, Claire, Ethan, and Lila now know my name, my truth. The Order of Military Merit rests against my chest, Noah Chen's gratitude a quiet echo in my heart. Driving these 5 kilometers toward the city, the Pacific twilight softens the scars of years spent unseen, from missed funerals to silent sacrifices in Ottawa's ops rooms. I've learned to carry my worth, not in their applause, but in the lives I've saved, the threats I've stopped, the strength I've built in the shadows. This isn't just my story. It's for anyone who stood outside the gates of their own life, waiting to be seen, their heart heavy as a 20-kilogram rucksack, their truth buried under someone else's spotlight. If you've ever felt invisible, whether in a family like mine, a job that overlooks you, or a world that doesn't pause to listen, I see you. Your quiet strength, your unseen battles, they matter. Share your story in the comments below. Tell us about the moment you stood tall, even when no one noticed. Your words could be the spark someone else needs, like a lighthouse off Tefino guiding a ship through the fog. Hit that like button if this story stirred something in you, if it reminded you that your worth doesn't need a stage to shine. And please, join us on True North Courage, subscribe, ring the bell, stay with us. We're here to share stories of resilience, of Canadians who fight in silence and rise unapologetically. Let's build a community that sees the unseen, that honors the strength in the shadows. I'm Emma Caldwell, and I'm not alone anymore. Neither are you.